Hey guys, welcome back to Doc Loyal Talks Comics, and tonight we're going to talk about Thor 365. This is one of the books that I picked up at the comic shop the other night, and since they did not get the new books in today, and I spent most of the day with my wife at the hospital, this is the book that we will talk about. This is part of Walt Simonson's very extensive and fun run on Thor that ran from issue 337 to 382. Like I said, this is one of the last issues, I believe, that Walt Simonson actually penciled and inked before Sal Buscema took over as artist. But here we have Thor on the cover, but inside, Thor has been turned into a frog by Loki. And so he's trying to save his fellow frogs, like Puddle Gulp and some of the other ones, from this mad Pied Piper who is trying to control not the frogs, but the alligators that are trying to eat the frogs. So it's a little bit far out there, a little bit far-fetched, but you know what? It's fun. That's what books used to be. They used to be fun. Meanwhile, out in Central Park in New York City, you have a fight brewing between the frogs, led by Thor, and the rats. And again, it's just, you're kind of like, this is not the mighty Thor. This is not what I'm used to reading. This is not, what I'm expecting when I open this up. But instead, you get to see still the heroism of Thor. The fact that even though the character may look different, he is still noble. He is still the son of Odin, and he still wants to protect others who need defense. Meanwhile, you go back to Asgard, and you see a Thor right here. But he's brandishing a mask way, way, way before COVID. This was back in 1985, so many years before COVID. But the reason for that is this is not the true Thor, but instead it is a duplicate put together by Heimdall, because he knows that Thor is missing. And he says, we've got to have a Thor or else Loki will run free and just destroy Asgard. So Loki knows that something is up. Well, he finds out that Hurricane is the one who is playing Thor. He had a blonde wig on and things like that, and that's why he covered his mouth, he showed off that he had been injured by Hela. And part of that was that he had facial scars and things like that. So you have to say, hey, I need a little bit of time to heal before I fight. And that's why I'm wearing this mask, because I don't want to show off my horrible, hideous scars that I got. Meanwhile, Loki turns into a fly. And once he gets inside Heimdall's room, he realizes that he can pick up Mjolnir, or at least the appearance of Mjolnir. And he is most definitely not worthy under no circumstance. He's the god of tricks and lies. So if anybody could not pick up Mjolnir, it would be him. But he comes to realize that's what's going on. The Pied Piper finds his clarinet back, and he takes it with him, and says the harmonies soar high and wild above the trees, and when the last note is faded and the echoes become less than a memory, Thor shakes his head and looks across a silent and empty Central Park. So the gators and the rats and everybody else left, except for the frogs. And Puddle Gulp is one of Thor's friends in this endeavor, and he says, we've got to get you back to this hammer. We've got to get you back to your full strength so that you can protect not just us, but Asgard and your brothers and your father. And so he finds, thanks to Tooth Grinder, which is one of the goats that controls this chariot, that he knows Lord Thor from Asgard. And he says, of course, even without an American Express card, one could hardly fail to recognize Thor, however his exterior was disguised. And so it's very similar to Spider-Man 33, where Spidey has to lift up the heavy heaviness of the building to survive and to go and to struggle and to protect his aunt. And here, Thor cannot give up. Even though he's just a frog, he's got to find a way to get underneath the hammer, lift the hammer, and then grab it at the same time so that he can become Thor. And in the end, you see this massive lightning, and now you have a 6'6" tall frog, or Throg if you prefer. So the one cool thing about this entire run, and one day we might actually go back and do a retrospective on that like we're doing on Thunderbolts, but one day we might go back and look at this whole run, but it's fun. You could tell that Walt Simonson, he was telling a superhero story. He wasn't just goofing off. He was telling an excellent story, but at the same time, there was almost a JLI, Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis kind of joking feel to it in certain issues. Because, I mean, a 6'6" frog, who's going to believe that? Now, it only lasted 3 issues. He got turned into it in 364, and then this was the main kind of expensive issue. And in 366, he is also a frog, but he ends up triumphing over Loki. So if you haven't read this Walt Simonson run overall, like I said, from 337 all the way to 382, so it's almost 50 issues, almost a whole 4 years. Go out there and do yourself a favor. A lot of these issues I have found in dollar bins, $2 bins, things like that. But occasionally you'll get a key issue like this one here that might be $15 or $20. But you can go that route. You could also get the Epic Collections. I think they've done the whole run in Epic Collections. You could possibly, if they went that far, you could possibly find it in the Essentials books for Marvel, the big black and white phone books that they used to do that would collect about 20 or 30 issues a piece. They may have gone that far. But anyway, guys and ladies, go check this out. Thor by Walt Simonson is a lot of fun, and in particular, 365 is most definitely a blast. Thanks for joining me again on the channel, and look forward to a lot more cool videos coming up very, very soon. You guys take care and have a wonderful evening.